Hello students, today we are going to do the second poem of class 12 from Flamingo titled An Elementary School Classroom in a School. In this poem, Stephen Spender deals with the theme of social injustice and class inequalities. He presents the theme by talking of two different and incompatible worlds. The world of the rich and the civilized has nothing to do with the world of narrow lanes and cramped holes. The gap between these two worlds highlights social disparities and class inequalities. Stephen Spender has presented a true picture of the life of the school children living in the slum of Tyrolese Valley of Austrian Alpine province. The children are in a very miserable condition due to their poverty and illiteracy. They are depressed. Spender voices his concern for these children who live all their life in slums and have no opportunity to enjoy the real blessings of life. He makes a frantic appeal to the educated and affluent sections of the society to better the lot of the slum children through education. It will remove social injustice and class inequality. Talking about Stephen Spender, he was an English poet and an essayist. He left University College, Oxford, without taking a degree and went to Berlin in 1930. Spender took a keen interest in politics and declared himself to be a socialist and pacifist. Books by Spender include Poems of Dedication, The Edge of Being, The Creative Element, The Struggle of the Modern, and an autobiography, World Within World. In an elementary school classroom in a slum, he has concentrated on the themes of social injustice and class inequalities. Have you ever visited or seen an elementary school in a slum? What does it look like? Talking about slum, the India's biggest slum, do you know where is it? Have you heard about Dharavi in Mumbai? It is the biggest slum. So you can very well imagine how people live in such areas and what is the life of children in these slums. That is what Stephen Spender has beautifully described in this poem. Now let us read this poem word by word and see what he is trying to say here. Far, far from gusty waves, these children's faces, like rootless weeds, the hair torn round their pallor, the tall girl with her way down head, the paper seeming boy with rat's eyes, the stunted, unlucky hair of twisted bones, reciting a father's gnarled disease, his lessons from his desk. At back of the dim class, one unnoted, sweet and young, his eyes live in a dream of squirrel's game in tree room other than this. So here, as I talked about, that this poem is about social injustice and class inequalities, and this poem is divided into 4 stanzas. In the first 3 stanzas, the poet develops the idea and suggests a solution in the final stanza. In the first stanza, the poet says that the children of slums, they are away from fresh atmospheric air, and though living on the outskirts of city, the glitzy life there is not for them. So far, far from gusty waves. Gusty waves mean the strong winds or the strong waves. Strong waves here represents the nature. These children, they are far away from the natural environment, they are far away from the beautiful environment. And these children's faces means their faces, it is away from the fresh atmospheric air, and um, he says that they are like rootless weed, means they are malnourished and unwanted by the society. You know what is rootless weed? Rootless weed, they are the unwanted plants but here in the poem it means uncared for, means these children, they are not taken care of, they are not looked after, they are, they have, poet has called them rootless weeds. Just as a rootless plant won't get nutrition enough to survive, in the same way the children are malnourished. They don't get sufficient to eat and roam about here and there aimlessly. So just as weeds are unwanted plants, these children are treated like outcasts. They are not considered the part of the society. Then it says the hair torn round their pallor. Pallor means pale, dull face. So how are they looking? They are saying that when in this age where there should be a glow on one's face, if you look at yourself, you look at your faces, how they are glowing, but the faces of these children, they are pale, and their hair are scattered, they are unkempt hair, they are just like rootless weeds, and they are around their dull face, means they have disheveled hair, because they cannot afford to bother about their looks. They do not have time to see themselves, that how they are looking, how their skin is looking, whether they are looking good or beautiful or attractive. They do not bother about, they cannot afford to bother about their looks like you people do. You take care of your health, you eat good food, you take care of your diet also, which is visible on your face. But these children, they are far away from all this thing, they are malnourished, and they do not take care of their looks. Then it says, now the poet, he talks about the students who are sitting in the classroom. First he talks about a tall girl. How is she sitting in the class? The tall girl with her way down head. So the girl in the class, she is sitting with her head uh, way down head, means the head is burdened. The tall girl is burdened by the load of poverty and trials and tribulations of life, means struggles, problems of life, and she is so subdued and suppressed that her body and her head have been bowed down with the burden of misfortunes. Means this girl, uh, though she is in a tender age, and in this age when the children should be carefree and happy, they are burdened with problems and responsibilities. So this girl also, she is burdened with the responsibility. um, she is exhausted and having a miserable life. Now the next boy in the class is the paper seeming boy with rat's eyes. So the next boy, the poet is talking about the paper seeming boy. Means here, this boy, he is lean and thin like a paper, and he has rat's eyes, means he is always looking for something like a rat, the way the rat is always looking for something to nibble at. So this paper seeming boy is as thin as a paper, which suggests that hunger has left him deeply undernourished. His eyes are like that of a rat, which is scared but anxiously looks for food. So a comparison is drawn with rat's eyes of this boy, because he is poor, he is undernourished, and he is deprived of the basic amenities of life. His eyes are inquisitive and timid like those of a rat, because he is always on the lookout for food and security. The way you see rat is moving here and there, and he is always in a I mean, his eyes, they are always on a lookout for something to eat. In the same way, this boy's eyes were also like that. His eyes, they have been compared to a rat's eyes, because he is an undernourished boy. He is deprived of basic amenities of life, he doesn't get food, so he is always on a search of for getting some food. Now next we have another boy, the stunted unlucky hare. Stunted means not fully grown due to malnutrition, and he is unlucky hare. Unlucky hare means he is unfortunate malnourished boy, and hare is successor. So he is a successor of twisted bones. So he is stunted, he is not fully grown, and he is unlucky here because he has got twisted bones in inheritance. Means he has inherited this problem from his parents, and talking about father. So this boy, he didn't have proper development because of lack of food, and he suffered from the disease which happens due to malnourishment, and it has passed on from generation to generation. And why he is called unlucky here? Because he is unlucky because he would inherit nothing. Nothing, like, means we usually get what from our parents. What do we get? We get property, we get wealth, we get legacy. But this child, he is unlucky because he is not going to get anything like this, but he will inherit poverty, disease, and despair from his parents. So that is why he is unlucky. And what is he doing? uh, he is reciting a father's gnarled disease, his lesson from his desk. Means this boy who is unfortunate here, he has inherited the twisted bones of his father, and he is not reciting a lesson from his desk, but he is enumerating, he is describing the disease inherited from his father. We are, as I just now, as I said, that we get generally people get property and wealth in legacy, but here the children, they get diseases as their legacy, the diseases which happens due to malnourishment and are passed from one generation to another. Now we have one more child at the back of the dim class. So another boy, he is at the back of the class. I mean, in spite of all the problems and miseries, there are some like unnoted, sweet and young. He is sitting at the back of the dimly lit class. Why the class is dim? Because proper lighting is not there. So the class is said that it is dimly lit class, and it says at the back of the dim class, one unnoted, sweet and young. His eyes live in a dream of squirrel's game in tree room other than this. So a sweet young child is sitting at the back of the dimly lit class. He is different from the others because his eyes are gleaming with the dreams of his future. The filth and the depravity of his life has still not ruined his hopes. So, among the worn out slum children, this is the boy whose eyes are alive because he still dreams of a bright future. They are not sad and morbid like the eyes of others. And just as a squirrel frisks and frolics around in its tree house, likewise the eyes of the dreamer boy frisk and frolic with hopes for a brighter future. His sweetness and youth is not yet lost to his pathetic condition, and he still dares to dream. He wants to enjoy playing like the squirrel in a tree room. So the other than this, here this phrase other than this is significant because it allows the child to dream about a world beyond his own. It says now that his eyes live in a dream of squirrel's game. He's thinking about that squirrel game in a tree room. Other than this means he is not interested in this present condition, in the present world, that is in a slum. He is not thinking about this classroom which is there in Islam. He is dreaming about a world beyond his own, and this suggests hope for a better tomorrow. So, uh, all these four children who have been talked about in this stanza, I mean, they are all suffering from one problem or the other. But this last boy who is sitting in a class which is dim, and I told you why the class is dim, because there might not be proper lighting facility, or moreover, the teachers and the authorities might not be bothered about the children. So this boy is enjoying the squirrel's game. He is happy watching squirrel hop in and hop out of the tree room. And to him, the game symbolizes something which has the power to keep him away from the drudgeries of life, the problems of life which they are facing in this slum. I hope this stanza is clear to you. Now let us move forward to the next stanza. It says, on sour cream walls, donations, Shakespeare's head, cloudless at dawn, civilized dome riding all cities, belled flowery tireless valley. So in this second stanza, the poet describes the poor infrastructure of the class. The walls, they are discolored and dull, displaying the things they got in donation. And what are the things that the school has received? There is a Shakespeare's head, then a picture showing daybreak. Dawn means early morning. So daybreak without clouds, cloudless at dawn. Civilized dome riding all cities. Civilized dome riding all cities means a picture of multi-story buildings and belled flowery Tyrolese Valley, and a scenery of Tyrolese Valley which is full of beautiful flowers and plants symbolizing natural beauty. So, but all these things are meaningless for these children as they are not destined to enjoy these pleasures, and nor they are taught about any such thing. Then you have I mean, besides all these things, what else is there? An open handed map. One map is there, a map of the world. It is also there in the classroom, and this map which tells the slum children about a different world, but children don't understand the world shown in the map as they are perhaps never taught about that. Their world is what they see through their windows. It says open-handed map. As I said, that the map is there in the classroom, a map of world, and awarding the world its world. Awarding the world its world means the map of the world in the classroom. It is symbolic of hopes and aspirations. For a look at it motivates people to explore the world which has been awarded to us by God with all its bounties. But the world for these children is limited to their filthy slum, restricting their vision for a better world. In the sense that the this world map, it shows them another world, but the world for these children is the world which is outside the window of their classroom. So it says, and yet for these children, these windows, not this map, their world, where all their futures painted with a fog. So What the poet wants to say here is that their world is what they see through their windows, because that is the world they know, they understand, they recognize, and they are familiar with. But even in that world, their future is full of uncertainty. It says their future is painted with the fog. Painted with the fog. You know how the fog is. I mean, nothing is visible in fog. Everything, it is unclear. So, in the same way, their future is also unclear. It is full of uncertainty. And it says that a narrow street sealed in with a lead sky. A narrow street means they live in narrow lanes which is sealed in, which is shut, or which is locked with a lead sky. Lead sky, lead is, here it refers to the dull and grey color of the sky, but for the poem it means the dark future of kids. So here what the poet wants to say here is that this sky, lead sky, which is black or dull gray sky, it is symbolic of absence of hope. And this lead sky, which is polluted with toxics and smog, it obstructs the aspirations, the dreams of slum children. um, as I said, that they live in narrow lanes, and without any hope of betterment, they are away from the natural beauty, and even education is not meant for them. In the sense, a narrow street sealed means their lanes in which they are living, it is sealed in with the lead sky, means they live in such a area where their world is dark and their future is bleak, with no hope for improvement, and they can visualize only a narrow path enclosed by a dull sky that keeps them miles away from the vast natural world of rivers, mountains, and stars. Stars of words here means the wisdom, the knowledge. So they are far away from rivers, they are far away from the capes. Capes is a large piece of land that sticks out into the sea from the coast. And the stars of words. Stars of words, I as I said, that it is wisdom, it is knowledge, or you can say education. So these children, they are away from all these things. Their life is closed in that slum area.